Back on the show is Michel Quinones, who's going to be making his UFC debut against Jared Gordon at UFC 211 on May 13th. Mitchell, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just training and make sure I'm on point with the weight, make sure I'm on point with training and ready to rock.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to see this UFC debut. It was supposed to happen back at UFC Fight Night 105 in Halifax. What was that injury that forced you off the card?
Well, pretty much I was getting ready. I was coming right off the fight, and I had, I think, 2 weeks to prepare for the fight. So right up, I went straight into I guess you can say camp. I mean, it's not really a camp. You got 2 weeks to get ready for a fight. So just in training, I banged up my leg pretty bad, and it pretty much forced me off the card. I wanted to fight, but when I saw the doctor, and he was like, I couldn't compete.
How long was the recovery time on the injury?
It took actually a couple of weeks. I was very surprised. It took a couple of weeks. I was kind of being done with it. Like I wanted to test it out and I wanted to keep training. So I did a little bit when I shouldn't have done nothing. So it kind of delayed the time for it to heal. But I just kind of just said, forget it. I'm just going to stay home and relax. And over a couple of weeks, it got back to 100%.
Were you ever worried at all the UFC might kind of frown upon that? Because, when a guy takes a short notice fight and then something happens, like, was there any worries that, the UFC might rescind the contract or anything like that?
Definitely. I was definitely worried, like, man, I wanted to get on the card. Everybody wants to make it to the big show. So when I got the call and I was very excited, we're all very excited. My whole team was like ecstatic that we got the call. And the fact that we had to pull out, unfortunately, I guess it wasn't the time, it was in God's hands and something we could do about it. So it was great that they kept me on the roster, and I'm going to give them a reason why that was a great idea to keep me on the roster come May 13th.
Awesome. And we'll talk about the matchup in one sec, but I just want to know, how frustrating was that time, having to tell the UFC that you couldn't do it and, just dealing with the injury? Like, was that sort of one of the most frustrating times in your career?
Man, it was a good thing I wasn't making that phone call. I had my manager make, I don't think I could have made that phone call. I would have went in there with one leg. But yeah, my manager had my back. He made that tough phone call for me, and we got it squared away with them. They understood, and now I'm back, on May 13th. So I'm really happy that they kept me on the roster. And
you're taking on Jared Gordon, who's also making his UFC debut. When did this matchup come together? Because it kind of just came out of the blue, at least for the media.
Honestly, that's how it was for me. I was home resting, getting ready for my next training session, and I got a call from a manager saying, "Hey, you want to fight for, UFC Dallas 211. I was like, what, are you kidding me? Of course. So that's pretty much how it happened. It was just like out of the blue for me too. I had no idea. I had zero idea.
And I guess, you were waiting for a fight. I imagine that, you've had training like you were kind of ready to take something on short notice. When did you start resuming training? Like how did you sort of get back into the gym and everything?
As soon as I could. As soon as I was able to, bounce and get on my feet and able to train, I got cleared from the doctor. I started getting in the gym. Of course, it wasn't like I was getting ready for a camp, but I was still training and working on the stuff that I need to work on to be a better fighter.
Absolutely. And obviously you train at American Top Team, so I imagine a lot of your teammates were getting ready as well. So I'm sure that helped to kind of keep you, focused.
Oh yeah. Being surrounded by all those guys who are constantly fighting, even the guys who are out of the UFC, on different cards, on Titan, on Bellator, and just all these different promotions. It's good to have that vibe around you because then it makes you stay sharp. You don't want to go in there and get beat up and be out of shape. So you gotta maintain yourself to a certain level. You can't let yourself go. So that definitely helped out as far as keeping me in shape and getting me sharp.
Now, you got the UFC contract because of your record and, fighting for Titan FC. Jared Gordon got his contract because Dana White was, they featured him on Looking for a Fight. Does that add a bit more to this matchup? Because it seems like the UFC guys, they always want to kind of take out the Looking for a Fight guys.
Hey, it's more pressure on him because he was the one that was on the show. They scouted him. I was kind of like the same thing with Sage Northcutt. He had all this hype behind him, and then they messed up with him. So I don't feel any pressure going into the fight at all. In the big show, I'm extremely happy. I'm excited to finally perform for a bigger audience and just do what I know how to do and get that W and win.
And now that you do know who you're fighting and everything, how do you feel like you match up against him? Have you had a chance to sort of assess him?
I really don't know much about him. He comes from Renzo Gracie, from what I understand. From the little clip that I saw from that YouTube from the show, he kind of like swings in to get a takedown and ground and pound and beat him up like that. stylistically, I think it's a great fight for me. I think my striking is way superior than his. He's not going to take me down. He takes me down, I'm going to pop right back up. I'm going to beat him up on the ground. I mean, honestly, there's no way this kid's going to win the fight.
I love it.
He has a lucky punch is going to have to land, or a lucky kick. It's not to be by luck this kid's going to beat me. The skill for skill, he's definitely not on my level.
And you train an American Top Team. We'd be here pretty much for hours if we went through all your training partners. But as far as your main training partners, like the guys you're with, maybe more so than some other guys, who are some of your main training partners?
Oh man, there's like you said, we could be here for a very, very long time. Probably for the more popular, I just got in some rounds with Dustin Poirier. He's also going to be on the card for 211, so I got in some rounds with him. Man, there's just like you said, that's the first one that pops into mind because that's the most recent one. But yeah, there's so many training partners that I got, man. It's a superstar lineup,
Yeah, absolutely. How's the weight cut going to 145?
It's great, man. I didn't let myself go too bad. I kept eating, pretty good. So the weight cut, it's not going to be that bad of a weight cut. Everything's looking on point. My diet is now super, super clean. So now it's just, shedding the weight, make sure everything goes according to plan, and that's it. And show up and fight.
Awesome. I know you're not looking past your opponent here, but now that you're in the UFC, is there any sort of matchups that are appealing to you? Any guys that you want to fight maybe after this? If you get the win here.
When I get the win. You know what? No, not really, man. I just want to go in there, get this first W out the way, get this first debut, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be hectic with all the media and all the cameras and stuff like that. So get this out of the way, come back home, reassess everything, and then just try to be consistent with my fights. I don't want to be on the shelf for 6 months or a year at a time. I want to be, every 3-4 months I want to fight. So I want to get the ball rolling. I really don't care who they put in front of me. That's from a manager to decide with Sean Shelby. So I'll let them do that work. I just go in there and take them out.
And the fact that Dustin's on this card as well, does that take away some of the jitters of fight week? Having a guy that's fought in the UFC numerous times and having him there on the same card.
Yeah, it's actually great. We actually have 8, including myself, American Top Team fighters going into this card.
Oh,
so
right,
I'm going to be surrounded by a lot of I'm going to be surrounded by a lot of my teammates and a lot of the coaches. So it's actually going to make the debut a little bit easier because I'm going to have the support of all these guys and familiar faces. So it's going to make everything a little bit more smooth, I believe.
May 13th, what's your prediction? How do you see this fight ending?
KO, baby. I'm going for the kill. I'm going for the knockout. I'm not going there to play games, play it safe, and get the W. Because a lot of guys, they go in there, let me play it safe. I want to get the W so I can stay on the roster. I don't want to be one of those guys that's just another person in the lineup. Oh, that's a featherweight fighter. No, man. I want to go in there. I want to impress Dana White. I want to impress the audience. I want to impress everyone. And I want to take this dude out in a spectacular fashion. And I know I got the skills to do it.
What are you watching on Netflix right now? Everyone watches Netflix. I imagine you're the same way.
You know what? I was watching Daredevil and Luke Cage as far as like the whole Marvel thing. So I got onto Iron Fist. It's pretty sad that it's not the greatest, but I know they're gonna do like a whole they're gonna do the team thing. So I wanted to watch it to finish it. So when they do come out, when all the guys come out together, I kind of know what's going on. But yeah, I've been watching that. What else I've been watching on? Just random stuff on Netflix. But yeah, that's pretty much the main one that I'm focused on right now is Iron Fist.
Excellent. And we certainly got to check out this card, UFC 211, live on pay-per-view, May 13th. Mitchell, I can't thank you enough for joining me here on the program. Where can people find you on social media? And if you got any thank yous, sponsors, shout-outs, anything like that, man, the floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. I want to shout out my man Mitch over at Silver Lining. He takes care of all my food. That man's amazing and big, huge help, especially for the cutting weight. David Bell over at Lean Staffing Solutions. He's also a big contribution to my camp. He helps me out with a lot of stuff. I can't thank him enough. I want to also, you can find me on Instagram, Capo CAPO_UFC, on Facebook, Michel Quinones, QUINONES. I don't have a Twitter yet, but I know I have to get one soon. Now that I'm being in the UFC, it's like everybody uses Twitter, so I got to get one on for that. Shout out to all my training partners, American Top Team, all the coaches at American Top Team. Shout out to my dad and my head coach, Fred Davis. We have a gym that I also work with. It's not just, I don't just go to American Top Team, I go there too. Shout out to my man, Jeremy Diaz, who helps me with my ground. Patrick O'Reilly, he actually has a fight coming up tomorrow. Shout out to him. Best of luck to him. He's the one who actually helps me out with strength and conditioning and my nutrition. And everybody at Team Raw, that's my gym. That's my people who help me out also to get ready for camp. And everybody who tunes in, fans, all my family, love you guys. Thank you for all the support. And thank you, man, for having me on your show.